Of 93.6 FM, and I welcome in the studio Botha. Carl, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, first of all, let's just inform our listeners also, and just to give them a bit of a background. Botha, living in the basin.
I'm 20 years of age, turning 21 in October. I'm currently in my third year studies, but I'm taking a break. As due to my injuries, so I'm taking a gap year.
What are you studying?
Interior design.
Oh, good.
And I'm going to take it further into architecture.
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of like normal direction to go. You were talking about an accident. Tell us about that.
Okay, I broke my neck in 3 places. And
when did all of this happen, Carl?
It happened on the 8th of December. And I dived into a pool, and when I did so, it broke 3 parts of my neck.
Yeah.
So not 3 parts, my one vertebrae broke into 3. And with that I was paralyzed from the chest down.
And when did this happen?
On the 8th of December at about 11 o'clock.
Was that last year?
Last year, yeah. So it's only been...
My goodness.
I think we're running on the 4th month
4th month now?
Yeah. And I'm already
it's incredible.
Walking. Yeah, I'm starting to jog soon actually, which is going to be quite amazing. They wanted to put me into the Special Olympics thing for Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
But considering my recovery being so quick, they can't put me in a category. So that was just a blessing to know that I'm not in a category anymore. I'm just keep going.
Yeah.
I'm exceeding expectations.
Right. That day when it happened, when you dove into the pool, you immediately realized that something happened.
Yes, I did. I was completely oblivious. Actually, I was so aware of my surroundings, everything around me. I was told recently that I was actually moving, but I didn't feel anything. And when my friend dragged me out of the pool,
were you conscious? You were,
yes,
you were aware of what's going on?
I was completely aware. And as soon as I got out that water, and my friend was touching me, and he asked me, "Carl, where do you feel this hand?" I said, "I can't feel it anywhere."
But that could be anything. That could be shock, whatever the case. So at that stage, you didn't really know what was happening.
I kind of had a good idea that I was paralyzed because we waited and waited to see if something would move or something would happen, and nothing. And I just said my neck is paining, and then that ambulance came, and then miracle after miracle, it's just started evolving. And by the time I got to the hospital, I knew I was paralyzed because the doctor looked at me and said, "It's a spinal shock, you probably broke it, we're going to see if you're paralyzed for life or not." And at that point, I don't know, I was asked this morning, what were you thinking, Carl, during this whole thing? And really, you don't think about your future or really even your past, you kind of just experience the moment. And unfortunately for me, my moment was just all pain, suffering deep.
That was the reality at that stage, it was just the pain.
Just the pain. They did a diagnosis and they said little to no movement in the next 18 months, but we can expect 5 years. So I was paralyzed, but in the first or second week my left toe started to move, and that was amazing because if that could move, then that means that something more could happen, because the brain is sending a signal all the way down there even though it's been cut all the way on top. With that in mind, it just started evolving so greatly, and God started working in every single moment. And next thing I knew, I was walking, and that was amazing.
Tell me about that kind of like out of body experience. Obviously, you felt something,
yes,
a connection. But tell us a bit. Take us through that process where you start realizing. I'm recovering.
The biggest breakthrough for my recovery, I remember watching a movie at home, and then when I went for a bath, I just started pouring and crying. And after that, I just thanked God, and I said thank you, because I was so in the moment all the time. I didn't have time to actually process that suffering. I was screaming at the time, but I wasn't processing it. So after that breakthrough, that next week, I started to walk. And I walked without bars or crutches in that week. My first week of walking, I could walk without anything. Obviously, I was a bit flimsy, but I could walk. And what I realized is that you know what, your body's linked to your mind and soul. If you can't free it, then you can't expect your body to be free to walk. And as cliche as it sounds, it really is not necessarily a mindset, but if your soul is in, and your spirit is captive, it's not freed, you can't expect your body to be freed from being paralyzed. And having a mindset of actually doing, I remember having dreams of moving my hands, and then the next morning I woke up and I said, wow, what an awesome dream, and I moved my hands, and I was like, no way. And also I remember in ICU, I was screaming past all 6 pipes in my lungs and throat. I was screaming past it, and I remember just seeing this massive guardian angel just put his hand on me. And it's amazing the power of touch. And yes, our bodies are brittle, and our bodies can also be so powerful, but really our spirit is the thing that's keeping us alive. And if your spirit's not freed, you can't expect anything to come back. I know that's a wildly and big exaggeration and statement to throw out there, but in my experience, it was all linked to my spirit and my mental state.
My guest of the week today here on 93.6 FM, 12 minutes past 12, is Kyle Botha. He's just explained to us the day of the accident. You were with friends and you were just having fun at the pool.
Yeah, funny enough, I was with my best friend, and him and I were still speaking, and I told him, yeah, it was just hectic, because I said to him, would you rather be paralyzed or not be able to
Were you
see?
discussing that before you?
Yeah, and I said I would rather be paralyzed, because if I can't see God's work, it's harder to move in it.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I got paralyzed that night. And I was diving into this pool, and I dove into it about 5 times, and just on the 6th time,
My goodness.
funny enough, my head hit the bottom of the pool, but it wasn't the impact that broke it. It was the whiplash when my head slipped effectively underwater towards my chest. That quick and sudden movement is what broke it. And the bones were literally, they said it was a hair fracture. Like literally a piece of hair could fit in between the distance of the bone and my spinal cord. If it touched it, then I would have been guaranteed to be paralyzed. But they barely could have seen it themselves, so they kind of assumed that I was going to be paralyzed. And I guess that's just an amazing opportunity for, not for me, but also for God to work in for other people.
Now, the whole idea, when I look at you and you walked in here today, I mean, it's kind of like the new generation of South Africa, talented, a little bit alternative, that kind of thing. And I asked you before we went on air what kind of music you listen to, and he says, no, I don't think you're going to play it on radio, which I also love, because you're a youngster and you're a South African, and you've got your, so talented, and now this whole experience almost makes you a little bit more mature and older than what you should be, isn't it, Kyle?
Definitely. If I can relate to that, I've always been a designer. I always had an eye for beauty and detail. And when I was paralyzed, really all I could see was the ceiling. And I memorized the ceiling so hectically. And every single light bulb, because I can't move, I have an eye for detail and beauty. And being paralyzed made me appreciate things like a leaf. When I saw green for the first time, sure, I broke down and started crying and crying and crying. And that just showed me how interlinked I am with beauty and with my surroundings, how much I appreciate it. Because being confined and being captive into a dark room with doctors always poking you with needles, I think I must have gotten about 90 to 120 injections in 3 weeks. It was unbelievable. Just so much drugs and so much injections. And really all I wanted to do was, you could do anything you want with me, as long as I could see something or appreciate something, like a leaf or a tree. So they put me to a window, took me outside every now and then, and I couldn't taste fresh air because I had open lungs and I had pipes everywhere. And it made me, it did in a sense make me more mature, but it just made me so much more appreciative of my surroundings. The amount of time effectively, like, we waste. Like, you're watching a movie, yes, it's a great movie, but did you go and look at that tree that you saw yesterday? Did you go see that butterfly? Did you go say hello to that person? Because effectively that tree or that person or that butterfly won't be there tomorrow, but your TV will still be there. And I was in front of a TV for a month, and really, I can't believe how many replays there are on the TV.
Carl, you also talk about another experience. I mean, apart from being in an accident and the fear and I suppose a little bit of anger and everything that comes your way, being a 20-year-old, is that, and then something happened outside where you kind of like connected with that other force. Let's call it that way. Explain that to us. Take us through that.
Well, you know what? I was always
spiritually connected.
Yes, I was always spiritually connected. And what I've learned in a couple of weeks, and it came to life last week after a retreat I had with my friend, Nikayla. She actually just messaged me now. Basically, I was always for God, for God for walking, for God for inspiring, for. And only after being reconnected, grounded effectively, not necessarily to reality, but to the world itself and to nature and to beauty, I finally found myself with God. And it's amazing how my parents were there for me about 8 hours of a day in ICU. But when the curtains closed, they couldn't be there. They were not allowed to. And as much as the doctors are nice and the nurses are nice, they have to get through the procedure. Even as much as I scream, as much as I cry, they have to go through it. And they won't show mercy with that, because it's your life at stake. And in that moment, really, only God can be with you 24/7. Because as much as we want to be there for everyone at the same time, it's in those moments when you're alone, when you are stripped, when you are just so vulnerable, that God can actually work in you. And I think it's so important that we need to recreate those moments, not even necessarily at church, but with our families, just reconnect, ground ourselves. And it's just amazing how God allows himself to just intervene in those moments. And if we don't allow him to, we kind of effectively just being selfish.
Do you see yourself kind of like fortunate in an unfortunate situation? Does that make sense?
Definitely, I do feel that way. In a sense, no one deserves this kind of pain that I went through. And I remember people telling me, Carl, you're a good person. You do not deserve this kind of pain. And every time I said to them, would you read a book if it was just one page? Effectively, my pain is just another chapter in my book, which I can use to inspire. And having that said, being more appreciative with the unexpected and with the unfortunate, just being mindful with that already receives so much grace and grows me as a person more than it would with any other situation, really.
When I met you today, I mean, obviously I had a picture in my mind before you arrived here. And when you arrived, I was kind of like a little bit shocked, and I thought, okay, well, this must have happened at least 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I saw you, and there's a kind of like a strength about you at the moment that I sense. The way forward now for Kyle Botha, recovery. That is what it's all about. You're taking the gap year, and so many things are going to happen this year still. Don't you agree?
Word. I've been more busy than I was before I broke my neck.
Because there are other things outside now.
Yeah, there's more to life than just college. And yes, like yesterday, I just took the day to myself, and that felt good. But days like this, I mean, time goes by so quickly, and I can't believe how much time I wasted. And studies isn't a waste, but wow, that much time every day, and I didn't touch one person's life. I only handed in an assignment. Is it really worth it? So that is just astounds me. And I was approached by Wings, which is a spinal cord run, and they asked me, what does my recovery entail? And I told them, well, this society has dictated my recovery to be little to none. That's the fact. But I do not serve a God that works on facts. I serve a God that works on the unexpected with the expected. So I expect the full recovery. I just didn't expect it to be so quickly. And that's a God that I serve with so much grace.
Well, you see, for me, sitting here with you now, this all makes sense to me. I mean, I'm not in your shoes, but as an outsider, you know, I look at you and I see where you are. Also, what is very special, Kyle, is that it's happening to you now, in the times that we're living in.
Yes.
In the whole kind of like spirituality where we as humans are in the universe. That's, I mean, what are your plans now? You're going to take a gap year, you're going to inform, you're going to speak out, you're going to appear on different shows all over South Africa. Is that kind of like where you want to go?
I think that's going to be the direction. I want to finish my studies. I need a grounding and platform, and that's my passion. God gave me that passion for a reason, to see that beauty, and I will continue with it. There's no doubt about that. It's just, my life has always been expected in the sense. I could tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. Last year, I could tell you everything. I could tell you what's going to happen at this time. Now, I don't know what's going to happen anymore because it's just too much. I mean, I didn't even know I was going to be here today. I forgot, and then my mother reminded me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. After gym, we can come here.
So you're safe.
So
where you are.
Yes, I'm in a day-by-day situation rather than, oh, in 5 years I want to have this car with this wife. But then, you know, I break my neck. So I'm not setting huge. I'm setting goals for myself. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of just taking it day by day. I know I'm going to do my studies. I know I'm going to be on a TV. I know I'm going to do this and that. When is to question, but day by day I'm just going to take it.
Also with me today, I've got the mother of Carl Botha. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. Now from your side, I mean, that's now a complete different story. Also, I suppose to start off, when you got the phone call.
Yes. Now, you know, nothing can prepare you, ever, for a phone call like that. But there is so much that happened in the last 4 months, and looking back now, even watching him do physio this morning, I was standing in awe of the amount of movement and the exercises he was accomplishing, realizing just 3 months ago he was lying in ICU, not moving a thing.
I mean, this is a miracle, Audrey. I mean,
absolutely,
you know, we can't get away from this.
If you speak to the doctors, if you, all the professional people involved in Carl's life were in awe. Actually, they didn't have an answer really at times when sudden movements would appear and things like that. They would just laugh, like a really from the gut. Wow, they can't believe it. But I think you know, something like this, especially when pain and suffering hits your children, it's a pain that you cannot express, or it rips your soul. You gut it really. And for me personally, from day one, I was just asking God, not why, but what can we do now? How will this? How will you use this to bless people, to build character, to give strength? And God was really very incredibly faithful. And I mean, through words, through people He sent on our way, to strengthen us and to give us hope exactly at the right time when it seemed hopeless. And I just really want to share a message this morning that everybody receives at some point or another a bad phone call. And it is not really the outcome of that situation, but it's the hope in it. It's the hope and the grace and the strength we receive from our Father in that time. And He is incredibly faithful, regardless of your state of mind or where you act with your faith or anything like that. He is faithful to His purpose for every single person. And when we start looking at bad news like it's a gift from God, really building His kingdom, because everybody gets touched through somebody else's pain. It's, everybody stands in awe when there's victory in a bad situation. People take note, and I think being on this side of the story, it's incredible. And like Carl says, we don't have a plan. Our family as a whole, we don't have a plan. We're only picking up the pieces of our lives right now. And to be in a place like that where what is today going to bring? What? It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking because, we work with structure and plans and things like that. But it's quite exciting knowing, okay, what's going to develop today, progress with Kyle. And so it is exciting, and I just want to really share with the listeners that regardless of your situation, there is always hope. Right to the end, there's always hope. And let that just be a message for them this morning.
With me today, Kyle Botha, my guest of the week, and his mother, Audrey Botha, are here in the studio. Kyle, now interesting times. It is you're going to go out and do your thing, and hopefully next year back to the studies. And what is still wrong with you? Because when I look at you, I just see this beautiful young man.
Thank you. It's
still a little bit of the hands. Is that?
Yeah. It's still a bit of the left hand, or quite a bit, and then right hand's pretty good. It's mainly right now quality of movement rather than movement.
Yeah.
I've got movement everywhere.
Yeah.
The quality of using that movement, that's what's struggling. So I can walk without a crutch. I can almost jog. I can skip, but the quality of it is not as where it should be, or actually, it's not where anyone expected to be. Considering I was doing jumping jacks.
Well, it's just 4 months ago that it all happened.
I was in a bed. No, it's good. So,
amazing.
So it's really, just yesterday someone asked me, told me I will be happy when you fully recovered, and I said it's guaranteed. It's just a waiting game right now.
I want to thank you for coming to us today to come and share your story. It is so awesome. You've made my day. I feel like I'm walking on clouds. So thank you so much, and all the best. And
awesome,
we can maybe do a little bit of a follow-up later this year. What do you think?
I read.
Okay, well, we're going to definitely stay in contact because I want you in about 6 months' time.
Cool.
And
I'll be jogging in.
Yeah, okay.
You can find me at the Virgin over there.
Wonderful. We can go for a jog together. Right, 12:30 here on 93.6 FM. Kyle Botha, my guest here today on 93.6 FM. Now, people can contact you. You can go to groups, schools, whatever the case may be.
They can find me on Facebook if they just research my name, Kyle Botha.
Kyle Botha. I'm definitely also going to join.
Also, they can email me, which is kyleBotha18@gmail.com, all lower caps. And my cell phone number is 061 947 9938.
Right, 061 947 9938, and Facebook page Kyle Botha. Yes.
And you can also, on my Facebook page, is the whole story, all with videos, the whole amazing progress. So it's on my Facebook page. They can click under the album, Kyle's Miracle Story.
Yeah.
And there will be videos on.
And that's all under Audrey Botha.
Yes.
All right. AUDREY. Audrey Botha, and just click on that. Invite her, and become part of and see how fantastic it is, and the guest that we're having here today. Kyle, right, I'll see you in 6 months' time, sir.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
It's an
Appreciate it.
absolute pleasure.